Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to be approaching the Orange Off Bat deck. This deck did really well in a challenge, and matter of fact it actually won an MTGO Challenge. That's a Magic the Gathering online thing where they host big tournaments on there where a lot of people can join in. This deck list ran up a tally of 8-1 against the field, and in that field there's a lot of Gruul aggro, there's a lot of Boros Convoke and things like that, and best of one, as we all know, tends to be pretty aggressive outside of right now the kind of mono black discard decks. But what can we do here, and why is this deck so good at taking on them, outside of the fact that we do have the sideboard? By the way, I'll show this kind of immediately. Harvesting some temporary lockdowns, some pest controls, and kind of some doorkeeper thralls to stop ETBs and things like that. But if we take a look at this kind of main board here, we're pretty heavy on our removal, which is pretty much where we have to be in best of one anyway, on the fact that we're running 3 and 4. A lot of times right now we're running 4 of this, but as we kind of spread out the cards, you understand why we don't. And the fact of playing 1 virtue here as well, along with the harvester, to kind of make up for the fact that we're not running a full stack of cut downs. But we play a 1 of doorkeeper thrall in the main. It's kind of a bullet piece that helps us in a lot of our matchups. Artifacts don't cause a whole lot of things to happen and can shut off like synthesizer decks, for example, without them really being able to remove it ever. And we can reanimate it with the color if it does get removed. That's kind of why some of these one-ofs aren't that bad either. We play the Dust Animus, which is a very cool card to get really large and kind of get lifelink on as well. And then we play the Shepherd as a board wipe most likely, and then sometimes buffing a Deep Cavern Bat to kind of give us a little bit more life on those turns that we need it. Outside of that, Deep Cavern Bat obviously being a good card that we know all too well if you've been playing Standard for a while. But with the Cosmos color, it gets a lot more broken than that, on the fact that it basically allows our Deep Cavern Bat to have 2 power in a sense in terms of the life that it gains us. And against the mono red deck and the Boros decks, that makes all the difference in the world. Getting a couple extra life points onto our total will matter whether or not we lose the game. But when a bat you control attacks, we gain 1 life. This counts all bats, for example. So say we have Cosmos and Deep Cavern Bat in play. If we attack with both of them, this will actually end up gaining us 2 life instead of just 1, and then Deep Cavern Bat will hit, gaining us 3 life, and very quickly we're growing lightning strikes out of range and things like that. But the other thing that this does, and why this is the absolute MVP of the deck, is we have a situation in one of the games today where on turn 4, this is in play. We cast a Deep Cavern Bat. Our opponent counters said Deep Cavern Bat. We go to combat with the Cosmos color, reanimate that Deep Cavern Bat that just got countered with a 3 steps ahead, and we put that Deep Cavern Bat back into play and take another card away from our opponent because they are a little bit more control, so we're willing to gamble with our life. But because this gains life when this bats attack, it only costs us 1 life actually. You just have to be careful when you're pretty low whenever you're activating that ability, because they kind of happen simultaneously in a sense. But what else do we have in here? A card that's kind of won the rotation, weirdly enough. A card we didn't really play too much is Legions to Ashes. This is for all the Offspring cards. It exiles all things with the same name. We have 1 Gix, 4 Preacher, because Preacher is a very solid card and a pretty good card to reanimate with that amount of toughness on it, and Death Touch, along with Shieldred as a 4/5, cannot be reanimated with this, but just the best 4-drop in the game. And then we have 2 new cards in here as well outside of the other cards in our deck, and that is Biza. This card acts as a Sunset Revelry as per instance, but basically what happens is if our opponent has more lands, we make a treasure. If they have more life, we gain 4 life. If they have more creatures, we make 2 fish. If they have more cards, we then draw a card. So basically, it's a catch-up card, and it's also a 4 mana 4/5 that has a lot of toughness on it. And against those aggro decks, it's a very good curve out. If we go into Deep Cavern Bat, Cosmos, into Biza, obviously that's a very good curve. It's very hard for mono red to ever beat that because of the amount of life you're gaining and kind of pressure you can keep on, especially because this has vigilance, so it can attack and block in the same turns. But other than that, a card that grew on me during this playthrough was Season of the Burrow. This card is very cool. Most of the time we were acting 2 separate modes, so kind of the default one is going to be making 3 rabbits and then exiling something that's important, or reanimating something and making 2 rabbits. Most often what I was using this for. And the reanimate part of this, putting an indestructible counter on it, comes up so often in today's video in terms of just bringing one of these back that's indestructible or bringing like a preacher back that's indestructible and has death touch and a large body that trample can't get over. It was very, very good today. So outside of that, without talking too much more, I think the deck will do a little bit better explaining itself throughout just gameplay than me just yapping your ear off. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and hop into the games. If you all enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Let's just go out there and see if this challenge deck really can prove itself in the best of one meta. Wow. I don't think, realistically, I don't know if our mana, our hand could get much more expensive. We got 2 5-minute spells, creature, we got here. But I'm also like not that opposed to this hand though, because we are on the play, so it does change a little bit. Just put in the battlefield, and if you have 4 more, okay. We'll play our fortress because it's guaranteed tapped, and if we draw another land, we will know our Fable Passage comes in untapped. It's been a while since I've played Fable Passage, so you know we have to kind of evaluate it. But now we can play this on turn 4 and be looking okay. I'll play a cave and then establish a preacher right away. Looks like it could be counter spell. It could be a couple things. If you think it's going to die right away, I guess I should probably play my legendary instead. Like whether it's going to get countered or hit with like a go for the throat or something like that on this following turn. I think playing it here more makes sense. This thing got vigilance? Why? When a bat you control attacks, gain 1 life, and it kind of has like not lifelink, but like kind of soft lifelink, you know? It still gains a life when a bat attacks. None of this nonsense. Obviously we don't. Why did? What? I figured if I didn't have anything in my yard, I thought it was just asking me if the trigger. Apparently I paid. Chat. Whatever, dude. I don't know. Oopsie. Preacher, you'll come down a later turn, I guess. I'm gonna deep cavern back. Oh, honestly, I also should have played bat first, because if they countered the bat, then I could have attacked with the caller. Already some pacing issues here, but like for example right here where I play that bat and it cut down it, then I could attack and return it back to my hand. But I can do it next turn. Choose target spell or counter spell. It's 4 mana. They can play it next turn. They can 3 steps ahead this turn. They just opt to cut down. Okay, but I think this dodges that. I think it's like, does it cast or put it on the battlefield? Yeah, it just returns it to the battlefield, so it's not like they're going to get the option anyway. Let's create a rabbit. Exile target on permanent. Turn target permanent card. Minimize 3 notes from the graveyard. Yeah, I'll take this action. Then a little, I guess. Feels like a weird turn for my opponent. No counter magic available. Just creature, right? Yeah, non-land. Permanent with 3 or less. They go get a land. Now they have 2. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Land off the top. Okay. I should have specified. My bad. Alright. We'll play this. We'll see. Deep Cavern Bat. I actually like drawing the bat here, I think. Then I'll just play another one of these like we said before, where we know it's already kind of in play. Remember when I messed up the sequencing and now we're like in a weird spot in this game? Yeah, me neither. Yeah, no worries. Also, if they play Accolades here, this is where this card's going to get absolutely nuts. Exile target non-land permanent controller draws a card. I just can't believe it's just 2 parts of the mode. And then we can return a permanent from our graveyard with an indestructible counter on it, which can be Deep Cavern Bat. Our opponent opts to not do that. They said, I prefer to not let you do that. They don't have anything here. They can counter a spell, but like, I'm going to attack and return my boy, you know? You see, I thought this trigger happened first, so I was saying to like allow this to happen. Not the opposite way here. Deep Cavern Bat? You have a Tidebinder? No? We're taking a look. We'll let Accolades happen, by the way. Don't have a reason not to. I surveil 2 and draw 2 cards, giving me more options. Potentially. Now I get to look. There's cards. This is fine. I don't really care about this. Spell cost most one to cast for each honor. It's a draw. I guess I can take the Edict, play other bat, take 3 steps ahead, and just make their hand really weird. Or I just play my Preacher, right? Preacher's really good here too. I think they're just going to kind of untap here, play land, cast Acklazotz, and hope that solves their issues. But I need to get past it, but I am kind of annoyed with my play earlier. Like, I don't know. Here we are. This card, I like it a lot. My first opponent that ever played it missed. They entered and the trigger went on the stack, and then I just said, wow, nothing happened. So what do I do now? But cool enough here, we can do the same play we talked about just a second ago, right? With 3 steps ahead. Is I can play this land, and we cast Deep Cavern Bat first. They counter Deep Cavern Bat, and then I attack with the Cosmos Caller, and then I take the Deadly Cover Up after returning the Deep Cavern Bat. It's pretty cool, to be honest. Like how this works. It's actually like pretty messed up, to be honest. I would love to do this. Yes, thank you. And I'll return to my Deep Cavern Bat. So like you take the counter spell away from them, but also get to do this, which seems so messed up. Another one of these is kind of wild. We attack, we lose 2, but then we gain 2 because 2 of bats they're attacking. And now we're kind of set up for a really monstrous attack this turn. We have 5, 6, 7. Pearl looking to draw. I don't know what they could find for 4 mana that necessarily answers the board. Edict. I guess I just let my Preacher go, right? Seems like a crazy move, but I can always return it here. It's not like I don't get it back. No man land, so we attack. We gain 3. I just return my little Preacher back. We gain 3. We lost 2. They're down to 5. And then I just pass and I guess make a fish or something. Seems kind of like a wild thing to have to do. You gonna play that Acklazotz yet or what? There he is. In case they have a counter spell, we go for the third now. They could have 3 steps ahead here, or just like a hard counter spell of some other kind I don't know about. But yeah, we saw it eventually there. The play I was kind of referring to where I could have cast the bat, and then if they counter it, then I bring it back regardless, and then the bat takes a card for free. Plus, it gets another card. But yeah, I'm sold. I'm in. I'm already ready to go. One of those first, like instant speed creature, some removal, Gix, Preacher. Yeah, I mean everything about this hand's great. Besides like the turn 1 Fable Passage potentially. No land rip here and nothing really to do with it, so I just hold this, kind of disguise when I'm playing. Okay, no longer disguise when I'm playing. I mean, I'm just gonna go get a white source here. But this is Grixis. I think I saw this deck today. Just like the one that makes like the slugs and stuff and flings them, or has like the blue, red, and green, or blue, red, and green, blue, red, and black ability on it that can like, I don't remember what it's called per se. Grab my go for the throat. Let's move on. Come on. No, that's what you want. Very cool. Not me giggling. I rip another removal spell. Here comes a 3-drop. Hopefully a 3-drop. Right? Because then I can cut down this creature, then get to go for the third back, and then go for the third the other creature. I feel like we're ahead here. Okay. Alright. That does it. Might as well just use this here. Have a good time. And then they'll obviously go and take our go for the third again. But then I can just like play a Preacher, which generates good value. Or a Gix, I guess. Pass. Doorkeeper Thrall. Actually a good ambush card. But with 4 cards in hand, do I not just play the Preacher anyway? This card is actually so good at interrupting. Maybe they'll tap out here. Just think I'm holding on to a Virtue to cycle. I mean, I'm gonna go for it. This one? I only have 1 blue mana open. So 3 steps ahead and then a counter spell here. But yeah, they're gonna have removal for this. At least I kind of force them to use it and makes their turn a little bit more awkward if they don't have the mana to support this turn. Interesting. Let's play a Preacher. Could counter it, I guess. Maybe have go for the throat. We'll just slowly pick off cards. Maybe they'll play other X1s. Shieldred. Okay. Or Liliana. Okay. Nice Shieldred, by the way. It's one of the reasons like Virtue's so good. Is making a token here. Like whenever this happens. But nice, I suppose. Okay, let's play other Preacher. Call it a day. Now they have like this weird time when it attacks while in most life. Okay. So I won't make a token. Yeah. It only draws or makes a token if you're attacking the player. Magda, sure. That is a card.
I'm tired of your secrets.
Yeah, let's get rid of this, considering it's not like a viable card here. Oh, Marchesa? Interesting. A land's huge. A land gets us everything. Go for the throat pretty much does about the same. Let's get Magda out of the way. So they can't make treasures, considering they kind of need it because they're also missing lands. And then Preacher can go in at Lily here. Even though Lily will probably answer herself here. Probably would go ahead and minus on my Preacher, but we're going to force him to play another one and do it that way instead. They find another land, they commit a crime, no Magda there to support it. Deep Cavern Bat number 3, by the way. Top 15-ish. It's top 13, but top 15-ish. We have found quite a bit of removal to kind of keep up, I guess, but at the same time, it's like at some point it'd be nice to, you know, maybe figure something else out. I'll play Gix. I'll move to combat. I'll attack. No way I can foresee a block happening here. This will hit. Gix will happen. I'll draw. We're looking to get out of this turn. Or these turns, I guess. And Virtue just hard cast is not necessarily the worst, but also double cycle Virtues here. Now, that's a pretty good one. We'll let the one they know about go. Obviously, they don't know about the second one, but... Are we double attacking here, or are we holding? Double attacking. They can only block so much, right? That's the case. I feel like an all-out attack makes sense. Yeah, I think so. I think we're in this weird spot where we kind of have to. Of course, they block Gix because that makes sense. Still going to do both of these. One. Oh my. Just fighting to get an untap land here. Sure. I'll then cycle this, make it 2/2. At least I have a land if they like Liliana me or like another hostile investigator here. I still have options, you know. But then I can potentially play Akazot to go for just a straight up draw. That's fine with me. Arrest's Fortress looking to be activated. Sure. It's kind of weird for the meta to slow down with the lands that we're using. I about just threw up, chat. I'm not going to lie to you. I get hit for a bit. And now cycle here. Maybe they'll have an answer for this. If they do, we know that opens the way for Aclazotz. This is very nice, but I think I almost just guarantee go for shielded here. Try to attack. I have 2 lifelinkers here. Maybe it's something. There's some amount of removal. That's actually great for us because that kind of lets us know that we're loosened here. Now, I have one of 2 options. I can play shielded here. This is 4, 5, 6. Then 8 if they played a shielded. Or I can play this and this untaps everything. Or I can play Aclazotz, which then stops the flying nonsense. But if I play this, then these get so much bigger, then they can't beat the 1/1s, right? I kind of like that. That's tough. I think I go for Aclazotz. And I still hold this land for like a Liliana Plus or a Hostile Investigator, so I get to keep my shielded. As we can see here. Land. Almost like we've played with Hostile Investigator way too much. Now they're in this awkward spot. They play cards. This last card in their hand is now gone, and they just concede to the Aclazotz. Alright, we go first. Not super thrilled with the amount of mana we have in our opener, but I have 3 playables off of it, so it's kind of hard to say no to, you know? We have a couple of 3. We have quite a bit of 3 drops in our deck. We have quite a bit of 2 drops in terms of, or 2 drops and like land drops. So it's like, there's a lot of reason to keep a hold of this. Feel a little bit more confident if we were kind of on the draw with it, but we end up finding it. Red, white. I could try to figure out what they're about, and I think that's a good choice. Plus, getting Deep Cavern Bat online and attacking against like Boros so early is pretty good. Caretaker, when one of our tokens control enter the battlefield, draw cards, ability triggers. That's pretty sweet. It's another welcome, but better because you have more upside. Yeah, honestly, sick card, my guy. I guess I just have to take the Lightning Helix. I was reading this. But when this class becomes level 2, create a token that's a copy of a token you control. That's also wild because that's pretty cheap to just make a copy of a token. Yeah, that's not a cheap effect. Normally, just to make a copy of a creature. I'll intern here. We'll see if they go for the welcome or this one. I would opt for this one, I think, over anything, but it is what it is. Could exile it later, but I'm not really sure. There's gonna be kind of a photo finish game, I think, where it's going to be us with our foot on the gas and them trying to get back into it, you know. They played tap land. I think they were opting to do that or play their 4-drop, and their 4-drop being like Geological Appraiser here. So I'll play this land, and I think with everything I'm able to do, I'm slamming a Gix and I'm drawing cards here. If I get that opportunity. Seems like there's a pause. Could be a Lightning Helix or something, but we get to combat. Yeah. Lightning Helix comes up. Good draw. Now, Appraiser comes down. Hopefully, it trips, falls, and just does nothing important. Alright, you know, that's fine. That's okay. That's fine. Why not? You know? I'm not upset about that at all, actually. Now we have to remove this thing, right? And just like keep going to work with what we have. You hit, and then they can play this. And also, the only downside to this is like you don't really want to pump it on an empty board. But I wouldn't even mind for them to play a War Leader's Call here, so they get double pings off things. I'm probably going to try to go the Virtue route, I guess. Make my creatures a little bit bigger. I feel like I have to. Deep Cavern Bat's good, but like I have this to block, and it's a 3/3 combat. I guess I just play Aclazotz, right? Like just force them to have to answer my Aclazotz. The Aclazotz also puts a lot of pressure on the hand, but accelerate. Like the idea of playing Virtue, right, is on the Deep Cavern Bat to get it to grow. Okay, well they had that, not necessarily the Restless card. But the idea is to get this to grow to such a size that it's impossible for them to deal with or like keep control of. Whereas like If I just play Aclazotz, it gets me there immediately, but the attacking is so much more valuable. And with 1 mana, you know, you get that draw. This card's sick. I love that card so much already. I guess we see if I make a bat here. No reason for me to hold back. Attack, force you to discard. Aclazot's going to put in as much work as it can. Probably see a War Leader's Call go. You could argue maybe our Seasons of Burrow we get rid of. In terms of just like firing it off here, but I don't have any. I could cast this, make 2 rabbits, and put a Gix back in. But I also am not entirely sure how they beat Virtue. Especially a Virtue that's online before their Virtue's online. With like the fact that I have flyers here. I don't know if you guys just saw me try to like scoot in and it just wouldn't let me. Being held prisoner by my own chair and desk. Oh, no way. Nice find. That sucks, chat. That's really bad. That's kind of one of our outs. I mean, I'll definitely look to block here, I think. He's got vigilance, so like they're going to be able to hold back on my creature anyway. They can't Enganjo me, I know that much. They make another one. I get pinged, and they draw a card. Maybe would have liked to see that play before. But with Aclazotz as a land, though, I now get to Season of Burrow and Deep Cavern Bat, which is actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. Let us take a gander at your hand, opponent. Give me that Lightning Helix. Let me see. Let me see it. Yeah, fair enough. Lightning Helix. What is the play now? Rabbit, return. I almost don't even care about that, but I care about the flyers more. That's mine. This does have indestructible behind it as well, so I can actually block these all day. So honestly, the returning's even better. They don't have a way to make me discard. I'm just gonna play this. But now this can block and block and block and block, and it'll never have to worry about being removed, which is kind of messed up. The only fear is these little guys might have to headbutt a couple of walls to get through ever. But yeah, of course we're gonna use our maps. We're gonna target our bat. It kind of, you know, doesn't really have anything going for it. Block. Cool part of an indestructible creature against red-white is they're never really gonna have a -X ability. And pumping that over playing a Virtue, I mean, this gives them +2/+2, but they would have just gone the 4 here. So it's not even really like you progressed the board that much, you know? Destructible one. This is the one I get to block with for free. Go for the throat's pretty good. Do this. Do this. Go for the throat still on top. Bring up Aclazotz so it'll get untapped here off my Virtue. And then I will just go to combat with my 2 flyers. They'll also get untapped. Getting my opponent down to 7. And I might as well just play this Deep Cavern Bat. They're never going to hold a card here, I don't think. So untap everything. I got a ton of lifelinkers ready to go, primed. Just sitting there, squawking, you know. Alright, yeah. I mean, that can ping me for a bit, but I just don't know how the lifelink gets beat. Temporary lockdown, I guess, could do it, but that doesn't. And our flyers get to, I guess temporary lockdown doesn't do it, right? Because it takes their tokens and everything as well. And then I'm just left with an Aclazotz on the board and to go for the throat. And then I also get to attack with this Restless Fortress. So then we would hit for 5, and then the 2 here are the 3 there because of a temporary lockdown after this. They gain 2? They do gain 2. I don't think they actually gained it yet, so they got into 9. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'd have been just short. But then, I mean, I would have been left with a massive creature, I guess. I'm gonna go in first. Their hand's a little bit weird. I don't mind it that much though. Swamp. Sure. What do I get rid of? Here, I guess. Surveil. I'm fine with that because I think we're gonna have to have good threats in order to keep up. And his talent, sure. I'd be Airvac or any of those. So like Shieldred go for now. I'm not like guaranteed to hit my lands anytime soon. We'll cast Deep Cavern Bat, take a little look at their hand. Go for the throat, Ruthless Negotiation, Preacher, Shieldred. Oh boy. Sure, I'll take this. It's like a really good hand, but no lands from them. So we'll see. All right. I don't know if I was fitting to care that much, but sure. Yeah, we now have a decision. I think I just let my go for the throw go. Yeah. Oh, it missed a land? Sure. I'm fine with this. This is there. I don't have a pain land, which is kind of tough. But I'm definitely playing this because they have more cards in hand than me. So we definitely want to. Now we get to play this down. We only get like one mode off of it. A land it is. And now I'm like confused whether if they do make me discard again, if I'm supposed to get rid of Axelzos or not. But hopefully it's just a Preacher here. Maybe it's a go for the throat. Nice instant speed spell. Not entirely sure that's when I would cast it, but that's okay with me. Now, I think I have to play Axelzos here. I think it's the only one that really makes sense in comparison. So I go to combat, I hit for 2. I just think like looking at this board now, I think, you know, go for the throating the Axelzos almost makes a little bit more sense, but sure. That's you're so gassed, dude. I love this card. Card's been so sick. I mean, I could attack. Nah, I think I'm going to do what they're trying to do to me, and I'm gonna suplex their hand if I can. Gain. I'm gonna play here. Yep. All right. I mean, that's the thing, bro. Discarding works really, really well, and a thing that I try to do when I play out of deck. Obviously, sometimes you keep a 2-laner and pray you hit a third, right away. Obviously, they got there, but it was a little bit late. I had an Axelzos in play by the time their third lane came in. But that's kind of the problem whenever you're playing like this deck or something is look how much discard they had, but then they played no threat. So sure, I went discard to discard, right? And then like I played a threat and they just didn't have anything else. And then they might go to their turn, they might untap, whatever. Who knows? But now I hit in a very important threat, and now I'm bringing back even another threat, you know? And like it gets so sketchy, especially next turn when Virtue is going to be available. Is what it is. I just talked about the mana situation. I mean, I'm gonna try it. Ah, boy. That's not good. I mean, that's pretty good. Fast here. Obviously, we're gonna get a plains off that. Play the swamp, probably Virtue their creature if it's still virtuable. Fire of the week. They don't. Weird card, but we know they play the mouse, so like it's not like that weird. It just is weird here. We'll crack and we'll go grab our white source. Oh, I got a couple more basics left. Here comes double. Deep Cavern Bat's almost worth here too. That's the crazy part. But am I just not supposed to answer one of these creatures and then play a Preacher next turn? And I think the answer to that question is yes. And we go up to 18 here. And with them using a card like this instead of something like a Monstrous Rage kind of implies that obviously one, they don't have the mouse, or two, they didn't have like a Monstrous Rage to commit there, or they were digging for an answer. Yeah, that's fine. Go for the third solid card too. I kind of feel like I want to play the Preacher though. The 4 toughness is pretty hard to get through, and if they Witch Stalker Frenzy this for their turn, then I'm okay with that. The shock here is not that great, right? Like, that's the thing about the difference between shock and play with fire is, like, a lot of times you just go ahead and play with fire. That I'm gonna do this one just because I want them to, I want it to absorb as much as it can while this creature can't fling it at me, you know. Obviously that's kind of their stick with this card. I'll take a bit of damage obviously, but all right. Hitting the land there is a little tough. So I think I just established a Preacher again, because now Witch Stalker Frenzy is not plausible. And I can block, and if they Monstrous Rage again, then I kind of have the same scenario. The hit land number 3 is a Godric here. As long as Preacher can kind of like brick wall for a turn. Do you want to attack there? And maybe trade off this Preacher? No? Okay. I'd like to move to combat. I'd like to attack. Make a lifelinker. This is where our deck gets dangerous at, in my opinion. Play Deep Cavern Bat. Take a look at their hand. Take the best thing. Lightning Strike. This guy that has prowess. Sure, whatever. Our creature control deals damage. Lightning Strike is obviously good, but then I can always go for the throat. If they take their turn lightning striking, if they target with this, I can then remove it. Yeah, I guess I just take lightning strike, right? Not that scared of that. And if they try to use this or something, I can then go for the throat it. Sure. Coming in. That's fine with me, my guy. I'll block here. This sorcery, it is. Are you gonna try to get this lightning strike back? No. I guess because of the card that. All right, my bad. My bad, dog. I'm at 8. I was just trying to think if I wanted to go for a throw your creature, you know. But I think we have to go ahead and remove this. Obviously, the idea is to play this like Preacher or whatever. But the reason I'm more eager to remove this is because of the fact that they do get to play this card now. And them pumping it and also drawing a card. Like, I just don't even want that like option to happen or slip through. And if I draw a land here, it's going to be hard for me not to like make 2 rabbits here and then return another Preacher from the graveyard. Just be super mana efficient. Attack, make a lifelinker, also attack my lifelinker, and then have another Preacher plus 2 rabbits back. So I have like 6 toughness in the wind. And just try to close out the game against mono red. All right, chat. Here we are. We're going to talk about this deck. This is, again, the first MTGO Challenge winner, I believe. Or at least, like, one of the first weekends that we got to play the new standard cards in an MTGO Challenge. If you're not entirely sure what MTGO is, Magic the Gathering Online is kind of their Excel platform in terms of Magic the Gathering. We always make that joke at the shop that we play at, that MTGO is an Excel sheet. But yeah, as you can see, it's a best of 3 list. It was played in a challenge, and it actually ends up taking first place at 8-1. And honestly, in terms of decks that I've been playing, this is arguably one of the more fun ones that I've played, because I kind of love this card. I think this card's super sick, and I think a card that goes really well with it is this season, in the fact that like it's kind of cool to bring back a creature that you're just like, I'm gonna put an indestructible counter on, and you can never remove it. And that is just like really cool in of itself. But along with that, I can exile a really like annoying threat, or just make a ton of 1/1s if that's like where we're at. Like if we have a Virtual Loyalty in play and we're like, man, we really just need to flood the board, we're against Boros Convoke or something, we can just make 5 1/1s and then do that. Or like I said, getting a creature with lifelink on the battlefield. I don't think this does it, right? No. This doesn't give it lifelink. I don't know why it did. It's alright. It's just a finality counter on it, but okay. But regardless, like, with this, we can return something important back, like this with lifelink. Or, not lifelink, but this that can attack and gain us some life. Also has vigilance and is now indestructible, and unless the creature has trample, they're never getting through it. Because indestructible won't move it out of the way, and like a situation where we brought a deep cavern bat back and was letting it kind of constantly gain life, and then the plays where we can cast deep cavern bat, get it countered, and then attack with this and recast it from our graveyard is so sick. Because realistically, deep cavern bat is one of those weird cards that when you play it, you don't ever plan to have it kind of get removed unless it's a board wipe regardless, right? So even though it has a finality counter on it, you're kind of like, it did its job, right? It kept like the card that was good early off the battlefield, and now it's not as crucial. For example, like cut down gets worse as our game progresses, as this can't be removed by it, this can't, this cannot, but this obviously can. And so if we take the cut down there, they get it back, and now it's just like kind of a dead card in hand regardless. But either way, this was arguably one of the more fun decks I played. This deck did really well in the challenge, so if you're like looking for a deck to potentially play, this one has proven to not be a joke. It just works out very well, and I enjoyed it a lot. So that's going to be it for me. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.